The Tzu-Chi Foundation was founded 50 years ago. We rejoice and celebrate this remarkable milestone with our new series this week, which will help everyone understand how it all started 50 years ago. In the first of our series today, we will also learn the origin of such concepts such as Buddhism in action and walking the Bodhisattva path. Here is our in-depth report.
他就是说，你我师徒因缘很特殊，时间很紧迫，要记得，既然有这样的因缘未来你一定要为佛教、为众生。
1963 marked the first ever foreign trade surplus in Taiwan's history, and aid from the U.S. ended in 1965, which meant Taiwan had become financially independent.
As Taiwan's economy began to take off, everything changed rapidly. In 1962, the country had its first TV station. By 1965, the United States ended its aid program to Taiwan. In 1966, the country's main export shifted from agricultural goods to light industrial goods. Then, in 1968, the 9-year compulsory education system was implemented, and 1970 marked the beginning of a long-term trade surplus.
As the country's industrial focus shifted, so did its social structure. As people's livelihood improved, they began to embrace Chinese culture to fulfill their spiritual needs.
However, at the time, Buddhism that came from China had deviated into superstitious religious practice due to circumstances.
In the past, when people talked about Buddhism, terms like bhikkhu and bhikkhuni didn't exist. People used monks and nuns, while Buddhism was associated with memorial service and religious ceremonies.
At
the time, there were various religions in Taiwan. There were the Buddhism from Japan, Taoism, and the Chinese Salvationists.
Believing that Buddhism should return to the teaching of the Buddha, Venerable Master Ying Shun began promoting humanistic Buddhism. This renaissance of Buddhism was just what Taiwanese were looking for, and the concept quickly took off in the 60s and 70s. The advent of Tzu-Chi Foundation in 1966, Guangshan the next year, and the predecessors of Dharma Drum Mountain Nonchan Temple in 1971 ushered in the new chapter of Buddhism in Taiwan.
In an agriculture-focused community, people would and had to rely on one another. However, the coming of industrial age brought about a revolution that changed everything, and people needed to learn to help one another again. The late Master Sen Yan joined followers with Zen. At the time, people experienced a lot of stress as the economy took off. So through meditation, people learned Buddhist teachings. Another major sect was Guangshan, founded by Master Xing Yun, which brought Buddhism out of temples in the mountains and into communities.
Venerable Master Ying Shun was inspired by Venerable Master Tai Shu's teachings, and Master Tai Shu's disciple, Dharma Master Tzu Hong, also advocated that Buddhism should be centered on charity, education, and culture, which coincided with Tzu-Chi's 4 missions.
Master Yin Sun defined humanistic Buddhism as pursuing the Bodhisattva path using this rare human form that we have been given.
A follower of Master Ying Shun's teachings, Dharma Master Ho Guan says, according to the Venerable Master, humanistic Buddhism should adapt to the needs of people, which means promoting the teachings of the Buddha through acts of charity and adapting to the changing world.
What sets Buddhism apart from other religions is the emphasis placed on selflessness. And thus, humanistic Buddhism must be carried out without bias and selfish intents.
As Master Zhen Yin took in her master's teachings, she also borrowed from the service-oriented practices of Western religions, which changed the face of Buddhism in Taiwan.
Since other religions offered social services, so why can't Buddhism? I think that was a turning point. Before, Buddhism was about meditating in seclusion and religious ceremonies. Instead of having followers visit temples, now it has taken on a different form.
Without needing to choose between renouncing or embracing the world, Master Zhen Yin has forged a new path to enlightenment accessible to all and allowed Buddhism to return to its true nature, which is to serve.
对人间佛教也是
One who has contributed greatly to the realization of humanistic Buddhism is none other than Tzu-Chi's master Zhen Yan. She has exemplified the compassion of the Buddha through charity work and saw the fruits of her labor blossom all over the world.
Tzu-Chi followers have served the world selflessly for 50 years. In the future, the organization and its followers shall continue their work for Buddhism and all living beings.